Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I thought I'd do a quick video about comparing yourself and who you should compare yourself to. I just heard a video that a friend of mine did on a private channel, and he was talking about always comparing himself to other people, more successful people, people who are, he felt like he should be further along than how he was in his business and what he was doing in life. And even though he was super successful, he always feels this way, like he's doing things too slow, like other people are having more success, they're making these millions of dollars, they're doing these things, they have more YouTube subscribers, and he felt, was honest about the struggle. And I'll be totally honest with you as well. This is a struggle that we all face. I face this struggle, right? I'm constantly looking and saying, oh, I should be doing better. I should be doing this. Oh, look at this person over here that's accomplishing this. Why aren't I doing it? Why don't I have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube? Why don't I, haven't done this launch and made millions of dollars on a launch on a product? Or whatever it is, right? We all have this. I'm sure you know that you have some amount of insecurities, some things that you're comparing yourself to other people about. So that's what I want to talk about, is this idea of comparing yourself and who you should really be comparing yourself to. So let's just put it right out there. You should not ever compare yourself to other people. Instead, you should compare yourself to who you were yesterday. I've talked about this concept a few times, but I thought I'd do a video specifically on this because so many people struggle with this, myself included. But the key is that, and the understanding behind this is that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how successful you are, how rich you are, how good looking you are, how buff you are, right? It doesn't matter what it is. What's going to happen is there's always going to be someone that supersedes you to a degree that embarrasses you, right? It doesn't, no matter how successful I've been in my career, I've always, whatever aspect it was of my life, I'm never the absolute best at anything. Maybe I'm the best at delivering soft skills specifically for software developers. Maybe that, because there's no one else really doing that, maybe. But even still, there's probably some guy out there that is just like some guru that I haven't heard of that has, it's writes code and meditates and is able to, whatever. Anyway, my point is this. There's always going to be someone out there. It doesn't matter how much money you make, right? There's going to be billionaires, and eventually there's going to be more than that, right? There's multi-billionaires, right? It doesn't matter how fit you are. There's going to be people that are lower body fat, bigger muscles, right? It doesn't matter. So if you decide to live your life in comparison to others, you're always going to feel inadequate in some way. You're never ever going to get to this point where you're like, oh, I've accomplished it all. I am the best. It's just not going to happen. So there's no future for that, right? It just doesn't make sense, because every step you go, there's going to be a higher step, and you're always going to feel bad. And if that's what's motivating you, it's going to be sad, because you're never going to enjoy what you have as long as you're constantly comparing yourself to others. The other thing that you're going to do when you're comparing yourself to others is you're going to devalue them, because that's how you're going to say, oh, well, look at this. I'm going to try to make myself feel better. So I'm going to say, look at this person over here, and they're not even making a tenth of what I'm making. Or look how fast that I was able to accomplish, and they can't learn this nearly as fast, right? You're going to be basically putting them down in order to boost yourself up, because you want to make that other comparison. So you're going to see them in a more negative light than reality, and you want to create distance between yourself and them, and so you're not going to help them. You should be helping people, right? You don't want to be harming people. You don't want people to fall so that you feel better, right? And this is human nature. I'm not going to say that I've never wished that someone would do poorly so that I would look better. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it, right? But we don't want to do that, because that's not good. That's destructive. That doesn't help us. It doesn't make us feel good about ourselves. It doesn't help other people, and it doesn't help us to get what we want. Instead, we're spending cycles doing comparisons instead of actually taking action and going out and getting what we want and doing what we want. So, what's the solution for this? The only person you should compare yourself is to yourself, and you should compare yourself to yourself. In fact, when you wake up tomorrow, you should compare yourself to who you were yesterday. And you should compare yourself to who you were a month ago. And you should compare yourself to who you were a year ago. And you should really compare yourself to who you were 5 years ago, because that's the biggest indicator of the direction that you're going. I'll say that again. You should really compare yourself to who you were 5 years ago, to your life, your situation, everything 5 years ago, because that is the biggest indicator of where you're going. If I can look at a person and I can see where they were 5 years ago, I can give you a pretty good prediction of where they're going to be, or where they're going to go, or what trajectory they're going 5 years from now. And that's the key. If you don't see big changes in 5 years, you're in trouble. In 1 year, that you should see changes. If you're really hitting it hard, you should look at yourself a year ago and you should be like, that was the dumbest person ever. I was so dumb. I didn't know this. I was so fat. I was so whatever it was. And if you can say that about yourself a year ago, that's good. You're heading in the right direction. You're going forward. So that's the only person you should be comparing yourself against, is yourself. And if you do that, you're always going to, as long as you're making progress, you're going to feel good. And when you don't make progress, it's going to be honest advice or an honest evaluation that you can use to better your life. Because if you look back and you say, wow, a year ago I was in better condition than I was now, or 5 years ago, that's a bad one, right? Then you can make changes, and those are valid changes that you need to make in your life if you want to move forward and get to the next level. So that's it. Don't compare yourself to others, as hard as it is. I know it is hard. We all struggle with it. Instead, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, who you were a month ago, who you were a year ago, and especially who you were 5 years ago, because that's going to give you the best indication of the direction that you're currently headed. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.